Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode number 64. In November 2014, we had an episode, How to Sell Your Product Online, How to Get Started. Now, since then, I've been in discussions with people and found that it's still really tough to get traction, right? To really get things moving online. And everyone's had that dream, or most entrepreneurs have had that dream in the age of the internet, right? The gold rush of the 21st century, where you put up a website, some type of subscription or products, and you sit there and the money keeps rolling in. Well, it's never that simple or easy, and it's a hard path. So we got another expert today to come on who has way more experience and success than I do selling food online. And he has clients of his own. He has his own healthy cold pressed powder drink. And it's really amazing because he understands Amazon at a high level. He also knows about Rakuten and a website that most people haven't heard of, but I think it was valued at $600 million in its funding round before it even got started, called Jet.com, and is a competitor of Amazon. Amazon still is, close to 25% of all commerce in the United States, all e-commerce. And we're going to focus on them, but really get some actionable tips here. How do you start selling online? What do you need to do? When do you make that happen? So I'm going to bring in our guest right now.
Welcome to the Food Startups Podcast, connecting the opaque world of food startups.
This is Daniel Emery Sitanayaka of Tiny Farms, and you are listening to the Food Startups Podcast.
He got to start right out of college with $1 billion health and wellness company. Then he moved on to early stage tech startups. After leaving the tech scene, he was reminiscing on what he witnessed in the health and wellness company that he was working at, and he thought he could do better. He founded MyVita, which is attempting to bridge the gap between convenience and clean nutrition. They do whole food powders and all sorts of stuff that Brad will tell us about. And he had a key role in his company was using Amazon.com. He also owns Kivea.com, which is his consulting company, which is a multi-channel online marketing agency for brands. Brad Forbush, how are you doing, man?
Doing well. How are you, Matt?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on today. I'm really excited to have you on because I want to learn a little bit more about some things we talked about earlier, not just Amazon, but some other exciting things that a lot of people don't know about. And the first thing I want to talk about is Jet.com. Brad, I was looking online and Alibaba invests in, I think February they invested. What else? It's a $600 million valuation before launch. I saw that in the New York Times deal book. What is Jet.com and what are you doing with it?
Yeah, so Jet.com, I've been a fan of theirs just from the get-go, just because so I'm a student of marketing. That's the first thing. And they did some really interesting stuff with their launch. And we can get into that if you want. But in a nutshell, Jet.com started by the founder of Diapers.com, and who was purchased by Amazon.com. And he decided to really, from what I can see, from my perspective, he's going straight up against Amazon.com now. And so I love the competition in the marketplace, and I love to see entrepreneurs doing interesting things. So what Jet really does, from what they say they do, is they're a fair marketplace that reduces and removes inefficiencies and costs from across the board. So they have something called a smart cart, where you can go in and configure a cart, and then based on what you purchase, so let's say you purchase a laptop, well, they're going to offer you discounts for all the different things that you could buy, maybe a charger or a laptop sleeve or case or whatever. And the bigger you make your cart, the less expensive your products get over time.
But how do these discounts come about?
So getting into, for our purposes, the startup companies and people that are thinking, okay, I've got products, maybe I want to sell on Jet.com. So they've got a Jet partner program, and you can actually go in and sell under there. You have to apply, and then you can actually configure your account settings, and you can make unique pricing settings within all of your products. And you can say, I'm okay with allowing X amount of discount if I'm getting this much else business from this one customer. They're building a very sophisticated marketplace is what, from my perspective.
So it's a lot of programming and modeling and algorithms that make it work.
Absolutely.
And it just raises your eyebrows when someone says like they're going against Amazon.com because, Amazon is massive, and most of us use it like once a week without checking stats. So Jet.com is definitely a place to look when you get going. Now, Brad, I want to take it a step back. I got really excited reading your bio out loud again, and I went right into Jet, but I wanted to talk about you, Brad. So you were working for a $1 billion nutrition company, and you left, and this revelation you had, what did you think you could do better than this $1 billion company?
Yeah. So speaking in the, health and nutritional space in and of itself, I just saw that there were so many different answers for what is healthy and what is not. And consumers are oftentimes left blind as far as what is and what isn't. Oftentimes when you're buying a product, you actually don't know what's in it. Or if you can look at the ingredients, but you still don't know what those words mean. But the company is saying it's healthy. The company as a whole is a nutrition company, so it must be healthy. So all of these little things, and I think there's a huge kind of movement right now with people that are kind of opening their eyes and seeing that, hey, this actually might not be good for me. And so I kind of set out from that perspective and just started kind of pounding away at, okay, what is healthy and what isn't. And so what we came up with at MyVita was, what if we were able to build products that were kind of stripped away and kind of bare bones, just things that we're already used to seeing. So for instance, MyVeggie, our main product, is really just pumpkin and quinoa and spinach, things that you already are comfortable with, what they are, they're whole foods. So we wanted to blend that with also being in a convenient form. So that's the powdered beverage that we have.
And but Brad, so you're saying basically in this big company, they were kind of more the approach where they have this image of being healthy, but when you look at the nutrition facts and the ingredients and the process, it wasn't all that healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to their credit, and I've already spoken with you, I don't want to divulge the name of the company for my reasons, but to their credit, they've done a lot of great things. You don't get to $1 billion on accident, but I just saw a huge room for improvement.
Right on. And it makes me think of another very successful company, Kind, right? They have this, I think, trademark slogan that's something like only made with ingredients that you can pronounce. It's something like that. It's just because you can pronounce cane sugar doesn't mean it's healthy. So kind of along the same lines of that.
Yeah. And along those same lines, I saw a label the other day that it was a post, and it had all these huge words, and it said, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Well, it turned out that all of those words were just the scientific words for what's in a banana. So it kind of goes both ways as well. Just because something is a big word and you've never heard the word before doesn't mean it's necessarily bad for you.
Totally. Yeah. Like there's a lot of I guess like medicinal mushrooms, or like when I can't pronounce a lot of those words, and they're really good for you. So no, right on, Brad. Okay. Moving on to Amazon. I mean, before we get there, think of the people that are listening to this show, Brad. Some people are already selling online. Some may have some success. Some are thinking about selling online. Let's get into the mindset of them. What decisions do they need to make? How should they go about moving online? And what's the first thing they need to do?
Absolutely. So with moving online, there's always so many different directions you could go. There's all these different social media strategies, and you got to post here and here and here, and you've got to make a listing on LinkedIn and Google Plus and all these things that you could do. Plus, you got to get your email marketing down. Oh, maybe I should build this big, fancy, nice website and get SEO going. So there's a lot that you can get sucked into. And the biggest thing, marketing online or anywhere for that matter, marketing really starts with the product. If you don't have a good, solid product, go back to the drawing board. Start there, right? That should go without saying, but there's a lot of people trying to market stuff that's not worth marketing.
So it's like a misconception, right? It's like, okay, to sell online, you named all those channels that can usually be important, like social media, SEO, AdWords. You may not use all of them, but there's going to be some type of combination there. But you're like, all right, I just need to get my product down. Okay, great. I got my product. Now I'm going to work on the online marketing, but the product's mediocre.
Right. Yeah. So once you're there, though, once you're pretty solid about the product, and look, you don't have to get the product perfect either, because you could spend look at Apple, right? That's always an easy example. If they would have held off on getting that first iPod out we wouldn't have this awesome iPhone that we have now. So you got to put it out there into the marketplace and then get feedback and start to understand what your customers want, what the market is asking for. So if you're looking for resources as far as how that process goes, I highly suggest the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, who talks exactly about that, how to build and get a product out to market without going into your basement for 6 months and thinking that you're building something that customers want, just to throw it out there to find out that no one wants it.
I just finished reading Lean Analytics, by the way, so I really enjoyed it. And so you said number one, and to me it seems like step one, get a really good product. Step two, get feedback. But then sometimes you get the feedback and you have to modify the product. But that's that's the first part.
Right. That's kind of the feedback loop, right? That's kind of an ongoing process as you move and iterate forward. Yeah.
Got it.
Step two, now, again, I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible for anyone out there, the audience that's really trying to get started and wants to know where to go. Step two is you really need to find where your customers are, where they're hanging out. And so, like you mentioned before, we've talked briefly about Jet.com, and you also brought up briefly Amazon.com. Now, those two places, very different marketplaces. Jet's brand new. We'll see what happens with them. They're tiny in relation to Amazon still. I mean, I think they've got about just over 2.5 million unique visitors a month, which is awesome. If it were my side, I'd be stoked about that. But Amazon.com has north of 100 million and closer to 150 million regularly every month. So if you don't have customers on Amazon, then you're selling something really wacko or weird or just something industrial or something like that, maybe B2B. Those are the only kind of situations that you don't have customers on Amazon. So that's honestly, if you've got a product and you want to get out to market, I think Amazon's a really good place to start because you've got built-in traffic, you got built-in customers. It's just a matter of optimizing that channel and going from there.
And Brad, you're doing a really good job of not overwhelming the listeners because your point about, I should say, not making everything perfect. You can't be perfect without a lot of trial and error and experience, right? So if you get a good product, start with Amazon, right? You don't have to be an Amazon expert, but you can learn. How do you make that first step into Amazon Seller Central? What are some of the 3 or 4 key things that you need to think about?
Yeah. So assuming, like we said, you've got your product, you know what you're selling. Hopefully by now you know who you're selling it to because we've already talked about that. But once you have that, even though Amazon has their built-in traffic, like I said, it's huge, right? There's millions and millions of listings on Amazon.com. So if you throw up your, let's say it's a bag of healthy nutritional snacks. Let's say you throw that up, no one's going to know where it's at. You're not going to be on the first page of Amazon from the get-go either. So ideally, you have started to build somewhat of a community. And maybe throughout the product and kind of lean startup methodology, you're getting your product out to a small group of people that know, like, and trust you hopefully by now. If you did it correctly, you should have it doesn't have to be a huge group, but even 100 or a couple hundred people that you could gather through Facebook or different social media channels. And I would say, again, simplifying it, pick one, most likely Facebook, and build kind of that group and be honest and upfront and say, hey, we're building something. We have this idea for a product and we want you to help us build it. And then give them incentives to help you do that.
And Brad, did you do that with MyVita?
We did. We did a little bit. And to be honest, we could have done better. And so that's one thing. Once you go through that process once, it's like with anything. You go through the process once and you look back and you're like, okay, we could have done this and that a little differently. But absolutely, I think that's where you start. I mean, building a community of people that know, like, and trust you, that you can go back to all the time, whether that's with Facebook, and Facebook's got some problems as well. Your organic reach to your own group is going down, to your own page is going way down, but they make it really easy to gather those people.
And Brad, let me just ask you, so let's just say when you were launching MyVita, how long ago was that you launched MyVita?
about 8 months ago.
8 months ago.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so just the end of last year?
Yeah.
Okay, so end of last year, let's just say you would contact me then, and let's say you sent me an email. Would you say, hey, Matt, join my Facebook group? And then you would have asked me some questions about what I look for in nutrition, or what were the questions you would have asked me?
Yeah. So we upfront everything kind of, we were posting. So this kind of gets down to the tactics, right? What to do, kind of step-by-step stuff. We built a page, and every day we were sharing content and information, about healthy topics, what kind of people are saying, what's healthy, what's not, all that kind of stuff. If people are into what we're building for them, if they're reading that content, that's who we want to sell to. So we actually went out and we said just what I said. We're building this. We want your feedback. And that's, to be honest with you, that all sounds really nice, and that's exactly how you should do it, but it's just not that easy. I mean, we put it out there to friends and family, and people are like, for sure, friends and family will, want to check it out. And yeah, we had some when we were in person with them, but no one was like clamoring to help us out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think everyone realizes that it's never as easy, and you can't take it personal, but it's really hard to get someone to like do a write-up for you on a product that you send them to, see if they like, to see if they like it or not. But,
right.
But so that's a big step, right? So I think I'm glad that you mentioned that, so the listeners understand, getting this feedback loop going. Once you have this concept down, you're getting feedback from customers, asking them for their opinion. It's not easy, but once you do get that, you go on Amazon tactically, right? You want to have good product photos, a product description that speaks to the people you're trying to sell to. I mean, and Amazon was, if I'm correct, Amazon was like the catalyst to MyVita starting out. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's kind of where we started with everything. And so I'll talk to you about kind of the difficulties and the pitfalls of Amazon as well. I want to be as transparent as possible so that people understand that it's just not, everything doesn't go smoothly 100% of the time. So getting started on Amazon, so you definitely want to do FBA. FBA, for those of you who don't understand, it's fulfillment by Amazon, and you send in your product to Amazon and they fulfill it. They do customer service and they kind of run with it after that. So they take a percentage of every sale, but you know what? For what you get, I'd say it's a pretty good trade-off.
And Brad, I just got to share my rookie mistake with Amazon FBA for their fulfillment center. So, there's, I can't remember right now. It's like you have like your own barcode, but Amazon has their codes. Like, so I basically put on my own barcode and then paid for the stickers, and which is not a good move. So what happened was, I had I thought a pretty nice looking package, and I had my barcode right there, which I thought was all that was needed. And I was, this stickering thing, 30 cents a bag. Great. And then so my buddy orders a bag of our product, and then it gets there and the Amazon sticker was pasted over the product label that I'd sent out. So there's a couple things you got to learn there for sure with FBA.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of stuff. I mean, Amazon surprisingly is fairly good with getting, as big a company they are at kind of instructing you. If you have a question, you can kind of get a hold of them that way. Now, the difficulty with them is they'll give you different answers depending on who you talk to. So that's the tricky part, and which will get into what I'm about to talk to. So getting your product listed is first step. Again, optimize your listing, have really good, clean copy explaining the benefits. There's a lot of spammy type techniques going out there, but just keep it nice and clean and neat and talk specifically to what your product does and how it can do it the best. Then you get into getting it into Amazon. That's one step. After that, the first thing you need, Amazon runs on reviews. So Amazon recently updated their terms of service. So a lot of people, the traditional way to really push your product on Amazon were through like big blasts and giving away, 100 products at a time in return for reviews and to spike Amazon's algorithm. Okay. So meaning if you all of a sudden get 100 sales, even though they were sold for $1.50, but your product's a $25 product, Amazon goes, hey, this product's selling really good. We need to up its rank. We need more people to see this, because what Amazon is optimizing for is sales. They make money every time you sell a product. So they want the highest converting products to sell well. And so now that tactic is kind of going away because Amazon has kind of thrown the flag on that and said, we don't want you to do that. And so,
will they kick you off, or will they just not let your ranking go up?
You know what? So it's all hearsay. Like all the Amazon seller communities are kind of freaking out And, people are like, oh, well, what do we do? Because that tactic, that strategy that I just explained was kind of the conventional way to do things. That's how people were making really good big wins really quickly on Amazon. So people are kind of freaking out. I've had a number of people ask Amazon specifically to define what's okay and what's not. If anybody is interested in selling on Amazon, and has questions that way, then get a hold of me directly. I'm fine with that. But basically now, this goes back to that big community. All of these kind of short-term tactics of pushing products out and huge, highly discounted 90% off offers to kind of spike the algorithm to get Amazon to notice you, those aren't going to last long term. You'll always be able to do promotions somewhat, but those kind of, I don't want to call them shady, but they're becoming shady because Amazon's saying they are, but those are going to go away. So what you need to do, and I feel very strongly about this, is build communities, build groups of people that are into what you have. Whether, if it's in the supplement or health space, that's what you need to go for. Whatever you're selling, build around that and get as many people to see that. And it really boils back to, I'm a big inbound marketing proponent.
And Brad, I just wanted to define inbound marketing for people that may not know. So outbound marketing is push, think of like advertising, and inbound is pull, like creating things that kind of attract people to your company. But go ahead, Brad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for defining that. Yeah. Pull marketing is people are coming to you instead of you chasing them, and their walls are down. They feel way more comfortable. It's a service to them because you have to provide value to them way before you ask for the sale. And so you do that by creating content. And I'm going to be honest here with you too. I'm not a huge writer, or I'm going to sit down and write a big long article out. I'm not like a blogger type that can come up with that kind of stuff. I'm a big picture, put it together, but you can get this stuff outsourced. And that's what we're kind of working on right now, is outsourcing a lot of the content stuff, because we can do way better at this. So I'm telling you what I'm working on at the same time as giving advice, and hopefully that's beneficial. But
yeah, well, and speaking of pictures, I'm looking at the Instagram for MyVita. It's Instagram at MyVita, MAIVITA Health. And they're beautiful pictures, right? That are kind of talking about the concepts of, it seems like kind of like what your audience is looking for, how they identify, right? Adventure seekers, kind of all these phrases and stuff. So it's really interesting. And so Brad, this is good. I really like this because this is a huge, huge takeaway that I didn't even think about going into the call, because I understand for online marketing, but I didn't put two and two together for Amazon, because I thought of Amazon as its own separate marketplace. But you're saying, there's going to be tons and tons of products that are sold every day, and people are looking online how to sell on Amazon, and these strategies that are quote unquote shady, these velocity strategies, et cetera, et cetera. Not that you still want to get reviews, but it's not really about that anymore. If you're trying to play the long game and be on top, you need to build a community outside of Amazon, like a Facebook group or any type of online community, right? And there's tons of things you can do there, and then provide really high value content to them that doesn't even talk about your products, but provide value to them and build this community. And from there, you can promote your products.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% right. And a lot of people say, well, if you're building communities off of Amazon, why don't you then build a Shopify store or BigCommerce or whatever your own channel is and start selling directly to them? And I think that's great. And that's definitely something you want to do long term. But there's some huge benefits if you take those people and send them to Amazon. And as you grow and as your numbers get bigger and bigger, you can start to, send some to Amazon and some to your own channel and kind of test different strategies. But I will tell you, on average, a product on Amazon, if it's done right, will convert at 15, 20%. Now, you send that same traffic to myvita.com, for example, and you're lucky to get on your own website 1%, maybe if you're really doing well, 2%. So people so there's a huge, so that's
at the same price, right? So it's like $50 here. Price. Yeah. And it's just the trust, the familiarity. Exactly. It's honestly, I mean, I think about that too for a lot of products. It's on their own website where I'll probably have to enter not like it's a big deal, but it's convenient. I have to enter my name, my address. I'm going to have to go to my wallet, take out a credit card, enter the credit card in again. I don't know about shipping, but Amazon Prime, it's one click, boom, in 2 days, it's at my doorstep.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so even if you do offer free shipping, there's not a whole lot of e-commerce stores that are pushing free 2-day shipping, right? So it's really hard to compete that way. But then there's a lot of kind of ancillary trickle effects once you start getting sales. And so not only is your conversion rate going to be higher, so ultimately you'll sell more product, but once you start pushing your own traffic to this listing, it'll start to get sales and more sales. And the more sales that Amazon sees your product and your listing getting, it's going to raise you up in the rankings. So now, maybe you were ranked at 150,000. They have, this bestseller rank, and they rank each category and they put your product to a number. And maybe you're at 150,000, which is basically no one's going to find you on their own. But now you're sending your own traffic and your own customers, your own, community to these offers on Amazon.com, and your listing skyrockets to the top or starts to move upward. And so now you've got the other effect of organic sales. People that are just shopping on Amazon, you didn't send them there, but they're just going there. They're part of the 100 million plus people that are shopping on Amazon, every month.
Wow. Now, okay, Brad, this is great. You've talked about a couple of stores here. I guess, Brad, after the call, we can get together a list of some of the other touch points once you've got going on Amazon. And you can see it on foodstartupspodcast.com/Kiveya, which is Kiveya, and it's also Brad's consulting company, and he helps businesses. A very successful one that we both know the owner is naturalstacks.com, and they are doing fantastic work. Brad, is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with?
No, I think that's it. I appreciate having me on. Other than the shout out that you just gave to Natural Stacks, I'd check them out if you are into the health and wellness and nutrition, interest. They're doing some awesome things over there. So check them out. Other than that, you can email me, brad@kiveya.com, Kiveya.com, as Matt just said. And I love entrepreneurs and everything that they're working on. So give me a call or shoot me an email.
Thanks, Brad. This is great. And, this will be live in, I guess, early September. And, things change. I'd like to have you on every year, really, because I bet a year from now, it would be great to see what's changed with Amazon and maybe Jet.com will have 10 million visitors a month. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm super interested to see that. So good follow up, year from now would be good. I'd love that.
All right. Take care, Brad.
All right. Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, find us online at foodstartupspodcast.com.